Okay, so now we're actually going to start our programming for our actual controls. So now that we have our protective devices in there, we have our protective features as far as if a first scan happens in the processor. We have our minimum speed that we can go and our maximum speed we can go. So now what we want to do is actually program bits to say, okay, well, if this happens, we want to increment the speed by an X amount or decrease the speed by this amount. And this will actually bring into a feature where we'll say, if this happens, do this, else if we'll do this. So first, again, we'll start our comment or our actual command, and we'll start our statement, if you would. We'll start it with an if, and then we'll make a bit that says, and we'll just make a regular bit. We'll say if increase PB, and we'll actually make this a bool instead of a dent. So we'll say if the increase PB happens, then we want to take our speed command. We'll do the speed command, and then we'll take the speed command, and then we'll say it will be equal to. So hold on, let's go back here. So it will be equal to, and then we'll take the speed command tag again. We'll take the speed command tag, and then we'll actually say plus, and I'll put plus sign, and I accidentally typed that wrong. We'll say +1, and this will be, we'll comment this and say increase speed by 1. Then we'll say else if, right? So we'll say else if excuse me, we'll say else if speed decrease. So we'll make a new tag and we'll say decrease PB, and again we'll make this as a bool, so just a standard bit, like a push button if you would, right? Then we'll say, then we'll take the speed again. So we'll take the speed command, we'll browse tags and take the speed command, and then we'll say equal to, and then we'll take the actual speed, browse the tag, and then we'll minus it. So -1. And what we need to do up here is, again, we have to put our end of statement comments, or basically our quotations in there to make sure that's the end of comment. So as we do that, then we'll say, so put that right there, and we'll say else the speed command will be equal to 0, and then we'll end if. So then we can do that, or we can just leave that alone and see what it does. So we can do this, and so actually we want to comment this right here, and we want to say decrease speed by 1. So that comments that out, and then we'll do an end if, and I'll show you. So end if, and let's just end it there. Excuse me, I'm a little congested. So So what we'll do is we'll comment this. So we'll actually come in here and let's just say shift and put a section break in here like we did above, and then we'll put comments in here and we'll say speed controls. So then we'll come down here and we'll comment that out to basically break the section, so you know that this section is for this, right? So we know this section is actually for this. So now we have what's going on here, then we have what's going on here, and we have what's going on here. And not to worry, our processor just went into a little fault, so I'll clear that fault. Go back to run, and then we'll assemble that. So now let's actually let's do a watch real quick. So now let's increment the speed. So as it as it stays a 1, what it does is continue counting, and we can do that. We can actually keep it counting until it goes to 100, and then it should write just 100 in there. It went to 101, so that's basically saying that it actually exceeded what it was supposed to. So this protective device, this is where we need to add something down here. So that's what we can do as far as that goes. So as far as that goes, we can actually come down here and add another else, or else the speed. So really what we want to do is say if neither one of these things happen, so then we want to say the speed is going to be equal to itself. So, oh, it looked like I jumped. Okay, so the speed is going to be equal to itself. So again, we'll browse tags and we'll put the speed in there, and then we'll end our statement. So all we're saying here is if this is not happening and this is not happening, then the speed is what the speed is. And then what we can do here is say if it's equal to or greater than 99, then it should pop in 100. So now we go to view and watch. So we're still at that, and now let's actually decrease it. So it's going to sit there and it's decreasing. It's actually decreasing. It only decreased by 1. Okay, so let's see if it, yep, and at 99 it went to 100. So that's making, what this is doing is it's actually overriding itself. So this is saying that if the speed is equal to 99, then it's actually going from 100 to 99, right? So what we're doing is we're actually increasing it to 100, and then it's saying equal to 99. So what we need to say is if this is greater than 99, then push 100 in there. So we're actually fine-tuning our logic a little bit, and you're kind of seeing that, so that's kind of a good thing. So now we'll take the speed down, and you see it's counting down now. Now the reason it didn't count down before is because this statement up here, right here, was saying if equal to or greater than 99, then it was going to push 100. And again, so we went to -1, which again, we should never go to a -1. So that with that statement, we should again say that if this is greater than or less than 1, and we'll start our rung edits up here. Remember, so you go up top. In structure text, you go up right up here to where it says, it looks like a little notepad with a pencil, and that's where you start your pending edits. So again, if I bring it in here, and this could be the assemble if you wanted to like test, like slowly go into a test mode, and then you could test it like that. You could stop testing if you wanted to. I always go to finalize edits. That's just because that's just naturally what I do. You know, once you get a little bit more confident with it, you can do that. So let's actually take this and put it to 0 and see if it will go lower now. So it's still going lower. Let's go plus, see what it does. So it's sitting there running the speed up because obviously we're just holding the button. And it went to 101. So it may be because of this, the scan rate that was doing that. Because as soon as we let off the button, it goes down to 100. So it's probably the scan rate. But we can actually, you know, change that too as far as we wanted to. We can increment these down to decimal points if you wanted to. But what's going to end up happening is these are dents and not reals. So the dents are going to actually buffer that out. With that said, so now we kind of got the logic in here. So we're actually using push buttons and actually indexing the speed up and down, even though these are kind of exceeding what the limits that we put in here are. What we may end up doing is coming back and adjusting that some more to actually get that working. But you see exactly how that works as far as that goes. So again, the major point behind this is the if this happens, then we want the speed command to be equal to the speed command plus 1. In our case, we just want to increment it by 1, right? Or else if the decrease button, then we want the speed command to be equal to the equation of the speed command minus 1. Or else we want the speed command to equal the speed command. So then we do an end if. So in this control, so basically again we have we've separated things out, and you can easily tell, you know, how things are done. And you don't have to separate them out like I did. I just particularly like to do that because it's easier to read, in my opinion. So again, everything that's commented out is green. All your instructions as far as like what you're telling it to do, like if, then, else, like for instance, if, then, else, if, else, end if, all that's going to be blue. So you'll know when you're doing an equation, or you're doing a statement, if you would, that you'll know that those will be commented or will be highlighted in blue, so that you know exactly what they are. And if you actually, so this is a good point. So if you actually don't have the proper thing in there, what it'll do is it'll have this little squiggly line up underneath it, and it will actually indicate this. So now if I try to assemble that, it will fail to do so because there's an error, and that error shows it in this rung statement, right? So it does actually take it to it and actually show it where that is. If I go to errors and I point to it, you see how the cursor goes straight to it. So then all I need to do is add that back in there, and it shows I can actually assemble it. So just in case you're editing this and you see that happen, you actually see that it's not a full statement. Like right here, you see everything's still perfect, right? There's no squiggly lines or anything. But for that matter, you know, if I were to do that, there would be a squiggly line, right? So, you know, for that matter, it's just a matter of doing that. So I just wanted to kind of show that. And let's see if I have that right. I actually put that wrong. So again, just make sure that this is when you have that happen, if you're editing this or if you're doing this online, if you have a squiggly line or something that comes up under your statement that you have something you need to fix under that. So again, hopefully that cleared up some speed controls and some just simple, real simple statements. This was more along the lines of just kind of getting you familiar with doing the statement, and to say, if this happens, do this. If this happens, do this. And I'll have a couple more examples as far as that goes to really kind of drive this home, and we'll kind of build off that. And what I'll do is I'll throw in some old videos that I had so that you kind of get a better understanding of exactly what's there. So again, hopefully that kind of cleared up an if then else, and we'll carry on to keep going with the training. Okay, thank you.